Hello, everyone. Oh, I have to speak here. So I'm very happy to be here in eazyBI community these days on site. Those communications, person to person, one to one, I guess is the biggest benefit of those days. And today we will talk about MDX. I do not remember why I added easy in the title, so do not keep your expectations too high, okay? Yeah, I'm working for eazyBI for 7 years, and I still enjoy finding new ways how to explain things to customers. Probably it's in my bones. My grandma was a teacher. I also wanted to be a teacher, but became support consultant. It happens. Okay, and previously, few years ago, I did my presentation on MDX ABC, and this is kind of next chapter, next lesson. More practice. And probably after a few years, I will complete MDX course textbook. Yeah, MDX 101 for dummies or for those who start to use. So I don't know. But today, the main part of my talk would be, let's build together. The rest is like some additional words. So we usually suggest our customers, I'm pretty sure that you know that we have this demonstration account where we have created a lot of reports and measures, and we quite frequently suggest our customers to go there, find the measure you need, change this small part there, add this small thing there, and you are good to go. And sometimes I have received a very honest answer from customers who are saying, well, when I open this beautiful measure, I see that. Unchiffred hieroglyphs. Actually, those are not hieroglyphs, Phaistos disc from ancient Greek. So therefore, let's change the approach. Start from the very beginning, start with a simple communication, and then probably we will get to prose and poetry, etc. Those who have learned programming knows that the very first program everyone writes is hello world. Let's start with that. You can do that also in eazyBI, right? For me, it just gives a confidence that I can speak with the program. I can say something and the program reacts. So let's create a measure, report specific measure, as Dinah and Janis already told. Voila, program answered. So we have made this communication channel. So far, so good. But real life hits a bit harder, and you have to calculate averages and different stuff. And let's take one example. We will go through during my presentation and calculate the average time to start working on issue, and let's do that for resolved issues only, resolved in a particular time. So what would be my way of thinking about this calculation? Disclaimer, I guess my colleagues have a bit different approaches, but that's okay. This is just one example, and probably it will help you somehow. So first step, what do I have? Probably I already have something. Okay, build something simple, build a simple issue level report with the information I have. Oh, there's a typo. Then I will calculate this duration for issues, this duration between some points. Then I will add something more because I know that I would need some additional filters in the report or some other metrics. So I will add this to this simple report. Then I will calculate average on a higher level. Then I will do optimization part if it's needed. And I will test and test every step. So let's go through this. This is not an action plan, but like mind map or process steps. Okay, let's see what we have in this first step in our case. First of all, formulate your question in the data-wise. So if I have to calculate some time period, then I have to know for myself that it would be a time for issue creation to the first transition to status in progress. So just to be clear that I need the time between those two dates. Then I would check if I have something already ready in eazyBI. I do not like to write calculations, right? I like to do click there, and voila, I have a report. I know that there are people who enjoy that, and that's great. I love them, but this is not me. So I would probably think about measure average days in transition status in progress. But if you start going back and forth from in progress to do in progress, etc., then it probably won't work. But probably cycle time option would help in some cases. It may be. But in my case, it doesn't work. So I have to look for dates. What dates we have? We have issue properties with creation date, resolution date, due dates, and custom days. Then we have some measures with dates, like transitions. First transition to some status, last transition from status. And actually, we also have other dates, like sprint start dates, sprint end dates, version dates, like particular dates, like January 1. So we have different dates. In our case, we will have this issue creation date and entering in progress status date, which is transition to status first time. And the next step always is I try to build a report. Very simple. Just adding those 2 or 3 dates or values I know I have, which I will use later in my calculations. Why I do that? First of all, I can check on issue level what values those issues have. I can compare with Jira and understand, yes, those are the dates I need. Those are the values I need. But this is one. But the second, remember that calculations in the report and in the calculation formula, like measures in the report and calculation formula, behave in the same way. If you use a measure in the table, in the report, and apply a filter by time, it would react in some way. In the same way, this measure will react in the calculation formula. And if you combine 5 measures in the calculation formula, it is great if you know before you add them up in very complex formula, if you would know how they would react on all page filters you would set in your final report. So create a report. Okay, let's do that. We have created our report, issue level, project. I added issues created and transition to status first date and filtered by issues in progress because I need this status in progress. What we already see, we do not have properties on the project and all issues level. You know that, right? And actually, to be honest, this value for transition to status first date doesn't give us any good because it's just a very fast transition in this project for the very first issue. So it doesn't also work for, according to our needs, it doesn't work for the project level. What else we can see? We can see that, that we need to combine transition status and measure to get our needed date, this first transition to in progress date, not any transition to first date. So what else we can see and why this report is good? We can see that it seems that there could be, that we can create a measure combining transition to status first date and transition status dimension member in progress. And it sounds like a tuple because tuples are combination of measure and one element from different dimensions. Please, if you haven't heard about tuples or you are not very comfortable, it's your homework to go to our documentation page and learn about them because tuples are like Superman in MDX. I won't dive deeper in that. We have presentations in our documentation page. So in any case, we have measure, we have dimension member. And now, just technical part, create a calculation formula. Name it, add the syntax of tuples like brackets, and start typing measure name and this dimension member name. So transition status and in progress. If you need, you can add more and more from different dimensions, but well, let's see. And now you can change transition statuses. It doesn't matter because we already have combined, and this new measure would always return the first date, the first transition date to status in progress. Great. Now we have two dates, indeed. The next step, calculate the duration. If you operate with numerical values like issue counts or hours, you can use mathematical, arithmetical operations like sum and subtraction and multiplying. But when you operate with dates, you have to use specific functions to get, for instance, duration. For that, there are several functions that calculates the days difference between two dates, and start with dative days, which is like number of days between two dates. Again, we know that from the documentation, we know this syntax of the function. And again, we look at our small report and we can see there is one date and there is another date. Let's create a new measure to calculate this duration. Yeah. Again, we start typing the function, and the formula editor gives ahead what we need, and we just replace those placements with correct measures. Issue created date, we already saw that in the report. And with this one. And in such a way, you do not lose any commas or any brackets, or probably do not, yeah. What we saw that there is some weird result, but in most cases is that because you haven't set a formatting. When you set a formatting, you get a normal result. Of course, there could be a question. Okay, decimals, right? But I need in a format days, hours, minutes. In that case, you should do the same, but use another function, the diff minutes, because this formatter doesn't know anything about your measure. When it goes to duration, it considers the value as minutes. So you need this same duration to be calculated in minutes. For that, we have a specific function, the diff minutes, which is very similar to days. Therefore, we can just replace that. And now we can set duration in your needed format. So, yeah, as you can see, the result is the same, but in different format. Okay, so far, so good. Now we have to somehow add this filter by resolution date. How we can filter by resolution date? There are at least two ways. First, by property issue resolution date. It's simple, but it works only for issue level. And you have to kind of hard code this time period quite frequently. You can use dynamical as well, but yeah. Another option is filtering by time in pages. But then you have to use some measure because filters in pages doesn't affect properties. And you need a measure that is related to resolution date, which is, for instance, issues resolved. But be aware, if you use some page filter in the report, it would affect all the measures used in the report and all the measures used in the measures in the report. So you can try it. So first of all, how it looks when you filter by resolution date. As you can see, project level is lost because project doesn't have a resolution date. Let's try to do that by resolution, by issues resolved. We find that the measure, add it to columns, so we can see one for all those issues who have been resolved during this time period. But when we select time, we lose all the information about the transition date, because transition to status first date reacts to the time filter, and now are visible only those rows, values only in rows where this transition has happened during the February, but we do not need to look for transitions in February. We need this February only for resolution. So we need to detach this fast transition to in progress from the time dimension. For that, we will adjust our first formula, adding time default member. So whatever we select in the time pages, it always would look for transition to the in progress status in any time period. This is why tuples are great. So now we can remove filter by issue resolution date and add filter by measure issues resolved. So all those issues which have one are now included in the report. Let's move forward. Now we have to create our final measure. Not yet, but still. Average calculation. As Jānis Plūme already told you, that the best average calculation from performance point of view is a ratio between total value and elements having this value. Our the predefined calculated measures like average resolution days, average time in transition status are created in exactly that way. This is preferred, but not always possible. If you have such situation that you have those values on issue level, then you have to use this function average, which actually is a filtered set of issues or other elements where numerical expression is applied and calculated in each issue level, and then the average is calculated. So you would need to create a set, a very, I can't say unfamous, but infamous, but famous at the same time, the sentence function, which is very valuable, but still it might raise performance issues. But sometimes it's necessary, not performance issues, of course, but using the sentence function. And this set must be filtered by something. And then you apply a numerical expression. What is numerical expression? Measure or function that returns a numerical value. In our case, this duration is a measure which actually contains a function that returns a numerical value. Let's see our report. So we have our report and average syntax from documentation. Let's check. What is set? Set are issues which are filtered by issues resolved larger than 0. What is numerical expression? Our days until moved in progress in these minutes. So because we need formatted option. Let's put it together in a formula. Again, I use those placements not to lose something, not to lose some brackets or commas. We add additional function filter where this set would be used. And set is defined by this function descendants, where we look at every issue, at every member, we check and retrieve all issues from an issue level. So, and then we filter this issue set by our issues resolved larger than 0. Now we can do it without any fears, because in our numerical expression, we will use this updated duration calculation where we added this time default member. So I usually check if I haven't lost any brackets, because I tend to lose them and then I can't find. And okay, we have again something. This is value in minutes. I forgot to set the formatting. Okay, Now we have some value. We can check every time, and I didn't mention that, but every time I change something, I check for one issue, what is going on, is it correct for one or two issues? And we can check it quite easily on issue level, but how to understand it if it's okay on project level. First of all, if you have a smaller set of issues, just do like mathematical calculation, sum it up and divide. But another option is, not another option, but one additional step is checking if all issues which should be included in this set indeed are included. And there is just a small video how we can check it with a formula, very favorite for my colleagues, Zane and Lauma, who are testers. No, not yet. Go. Yes, set a string. Again, watch those videos about testing, you will see. We just copy and paste this set definition from our formula and see which issues are included in the calculation. And on issue level, you will see value against each issue which are included and empty brackets for those issues which are not included. It seems that we have included them correctly because we filtered by resolved issues measure. But in any case, this is a way how you can see which issues are included in the set. And it's very important because usually when you have problems with average calculations or summing or finding a minimum or maximum values in any calculation where you operate with set, the most error-prone part is defining sets. Therefore, this part is quite important. Okay, we have created a measure. We have tested that the set is correct. But there is one more step, optimization. Of course, when you have found your result, you are so happy that you forget about it. But when you start adding this or that and something more, and then, okay, my report is timing out, or it's open like in 30 seconds, which is like too much for me, for us. Therefore, optimization might be critical, and stay focused and do the last step. Probably you can tune the calculation itself. And if it doesn't work, probably you should find another approach. And this iteration through issues is not the best one in that case. But okay, this is quite extreme scenario, then you should go to JavaScript, pre-calculation, etc. But we are not talking about that today, but keep in mind that sometimes you have created a nice measure and it still doesn't work as needed and very slow, and then you have to change the approach. It happens. But okay, good scenario, we can optimize this same calculation. Usually when we talk about iterating through issues, we suggest as a first step, filter this set of issues, not only by measure, but by some issue properties first. And if you use time in the report, then usually you want to see issues by their creation date, or included in this calculation, by their creation date, by their resolution date, or by other dates that are available as properties. In our case, of course, we have this issue resolution date. And there are different functions how to check that. We will use dating period. It means we will find if issue resolution date is within the selected time period. Again, look at our nice small report and the dating period syntax. We have date. This is like before we removed it, right? And we have time member. In this case, this is all times, but there could be selected February or March or whatever. So we should check if the date is within the selected time period. Let's tune up our calculation formula and add one more filter condition. As I said, filtered by filters must be before the filtered by measures. And again, we use the same approach. We replace what is said by real date, time member, issue resolution date, sorry, and time dimension member. So in this case, this is time current hierarchy member or the member which is selected in the report. And because we use two filter conditions, and in such cases, when we have already filtered issues by time, by their properties, we can detach this measure issues resolved from time, and it would react only to other page filters, because we definitely will have some. We have projects, probably we will have some issue type or issue priority. So you have to leave it there, but a bit different way. Again, I forgot the formatting. I didn't want to refilm the video. And you can see that they are the same results. And if we change date, it's again the same. So it works. I tested that. Whew. I would say I'm happy. The final, oh no, I'm happy. I removed this green stick. I added this check. Okay, remember to save the report. We created all the measures in report-specific measures, not to. While we are trying and creating reports, do it for as report-specific measures, but remember to save the report because you lose them, if not. Imagine losing them now? No. Okay, so we got from dative days, like kind of readable one, to kind of bit longer. I made it a bit longer because I substituted all those references to measures by real calculations, added those tuples and property calculations. So yeah, but how did it get complicated? And this is, of course, not the most complicated one. So first of all, as we talked, not all data are imported by default. They must be calculated first, and this takes some place, some rows in code. If issue properties are used in the calculation formula, then you should iterate through issues to get the result. Either it's sum or average or other aggregate. And you should have to define the set. And as you saw, it's not very complex, but it again takes some place. Changing report context complicates calculation. As we saw, if we filter, we have two dates, two measures in our calculation formula, and if we use time, we have to ensure that both measures react in a way that we accept that we need, and then we should process one of them or both of them. And again, it takes some place in the calculation formula and optimization. If you check demonstration account and the measures, those measures are created so they work in different report contexts, and they should be optimized enough to provide it to you. So this is where very, very simple thing, calculation between two dates, turns out to be a bit longer code. But as you saw, we did it gradually, and we almost all the time could relate to the report we used. So, message, start simple, build gradually, create your report, test every step, and stop when it is good enough. You do not have to create super universal calculation formulas. Use the formula which satisfies you, which works pretty fast for your instance. And yeah, try again. Thank you.